Have you ever wondered if life has been trying to tell you something, but you've been too busy looking somewhere else? Recently, I've been thinking about that as I approach 2 years of doing Limitless. And this reflection had me thinking about the journey of what Limitless has become and what has come out of Greg as a result of pursuing Limitless. Looking back, I can definitely say that there were days just being unsure of everything that's happening. I literally didn't want to do a podcast. This was never the goal when I first started. So there was always that fear within myself that, is this really something that I want to do? It got me to try so many different things in search of an identity within myself. But even before that, I would ask myself this question a lot. Am I looking for work or am I looking for an identity? And when I go back to the journey, there was a lot of times where in trying so many different things, I found myself to always return to the same question. Does this thing make me happy? Am I doing this because Greg wants to do it? Or am I doing this because it's going to look good for Greg from the external perspective? So in those days, you go through a lot and you go through different seasons to try figure out what makes sense for you, but nothing really ever connected. And in those moments, it's so important to keep searching because whatever you have, I believe, is within you. It just has to be uncovered. The reason I say that is I would have conversations with friends, family members, and just different people where the joke was, if you want to talk to Greg, you got to schedule an hour or two before you do that because he's always so deep and always trying to have meaningful conversations, asking the right questions. And one person actually told me, you should actually start a podcast long before I ever believed I should. But I remember this moment specifically that stands out. I was going through a renaissance, let's call it that. And one Saturday evening, when I was practicing sobriety, I asked myself, if I was to go back and be a kid again, what's the one thing that I naturally did without feeling as if I struggled? Like what naturally came to me? And as kids, I remember we used to do this thing called composition when I was in primary school. So this was when they would give you a timer and then you write stories. So writing, that's the first thing that came into my mind. And I asked myself, when's the last time I actually wrote anything or read a story or just immersed myself into that world? I couldn't answer. So I shifted that interest into my notes app. And at the beginning, I actually didn't like filming myself. So I found a way to go against that. And the way I did it was I would record myself working out because I do love working out. And I would do voiceovers of what I wrote in my notes. But I realized the feedback from that was, oh my God, you speak so well. How come you think of life like this? And I had to ask myself one question. Do I really want to do this on camera? Because I was hella scared to showcase myself on camera. It's funny because right now I can look at the camera dead in the eye and say, we did it, Greg. But that's not the point. The point is, at the time, I was using an escape from putting myself out there, my face, because it felt like less attention and less pressure was on me. And also, bigger picture, failure, feel failure. If I put my face out there, if I put myself out there, it means if this thing doesn't grow to the level that I want it to grow, the failure responsibility is on me. So I feel as though I didn't listen to myself. And I ignored every single sign of what I should have been doing at the time because of the fear of failure and other fears about showcasing myself on camera. Conversation for another day if we dig deeper into the story. But the turning point came when I actually started doing the filming. I was terrible with my first few videos. I could not coherently gather more than 3 sentences. Why is this not sticking? I would always try to read the script and I would always try to be perfect. But one thing about progress and perfection is the more you consistently show up, the more you're building your confidence muscle to believe that you're capable. Experience on a resume does not come as a result of doing things perfectly. People have experiences on their resume because they dared to be beginners. And if you consistently dare to begin, you consistently dare to be an experienced individual in your field of work. So going from somebody who couldn't coherently put 3 sentences together to being someone who could actually do monologues on YouTube or Spotify for over 10 minutes, I think I could say the showing up has done good. And I'm extremely proud of that moment of growth as I reflect over the last couple of years. But outside of that, it got me to think, how am I the only one who does this? When I think about it, I started to question, why do we ignore things that come naturally to us? Something that may be very extraordinary within you from the view or the lens of other people might feel very ordinary because it's something that comes effortlessly to you. And we've conditioned ourselves to think if it does not have effort or struggle, then it's not worth it. So I started to think along those lines because that in itself doesn't make the thing feel valuable. And when I reconnect the dots looking back, when I was trying to figure out what I really wanted to pursue in life, a lot of the things that I did, chasing the corporate titles or wanting to start the business or this and that, it was basically for the recognition of the outside world, not necessarily what truly felt innately comfortable for me. We don't allow ourselves to sit in that uncomfortability because of one, insecurity of pursuing something that might not necessarily be impressive from the outside, and also just the reality of paying bills. But from my observation, you tend to see a lot of unhappiness come with that cloud of, what if I jump the gun and pursue what I want to pursue? The unhappiness stems from not pursuing what you want to pursue. A lot of us don't necessarily take the leap of faith because we're afraid. And fear is not a bad thing. When I look back, what I learned about fear is you have to actually lean into the fear because the journey that it might take you on might be one of the best and rewarding journeys that life has offered you since you were born. And the fear of not being seen is a betrayal to your truest and authentic self on what the world really needs from you. And I believe as a human race, we are at an inflection point of what it means to be human. And being human is being you. And being you is what the world needs. So I think it's very important to follow those natural pointers for what we need to do, because the cost is time, the only thing that we can never replace. Every passing minute, every passing hour, every passing week, month, year you're experiencing sunken cost, something that you'll never get back. And you'll never know if you don't dare to be a beginner, right? How many careers are we going to go through to proper external image while betraying our internal compass? How many relationships are we going to stay in because it's the safer bet rather than working on ourselves to really show up as the best version of ourselves? The energy that you expand into scenarios and situations that don't serve you to just become someone who society wants you to be instead of literally turning back to yourself. So maybe purpose in life isn't something that we discover. Maybe purpose quietly just introduces itself long before we're willing to notice it. So this week, I wanted to ask you this one question. What has life been trying to introduce to you that you've been overlooking because it came too naturally? This was your weekly reset. I hope we can all read, reflect, and rise. Please subscribe and share to anyone who might need to hear this. And also, don't forget to sign up for the weekly newsletter where I share written format for the reset. Adios.